Okay, Israel, shalom, shalom, shalom. Let's cut these phones off, please. Hope everybody's doing well. And let me type this in real quick. Okay, cool. Yeah, so hope everybody's doing well today. Sword of Truth family, Calicut and Guatemala, the brothers and sisters that are being taught. California, Georgia, hope everybody's doing well. Shimmer Wisdom, Houston, Rochester, and Virginia, shalom. The water for being patient with us through this last week of holidays, and we were tied up on Saturday, so the water for kind of being patient with us so we can get back on schedule. Today's class, the title is Nurturing a Fighting Spirit. Nurturing a Fighting Spirit. You know, ever so many weeks and months, we always got to go back to the classics and go back to the type of concepts that reset you, that get you in the right spirit. I mentioned it a few weeks ago. You know, when you're in a dead winter, things get hard, life gets hard, the battle gets hard, and it's important to kind of get back in this book and give us that reason to keep fighting. When I talk to people and counsel, a lot of people that I've talked to are kind of in those spiritual funks, and they're kind of in these ruts, trying to figure out how to stay motivated, how to stay in the right mind frame, and how to keep pushing. You know, I think that's kind of the challenge for all of us on this earth, is how to stay spiritually regulated, how to stay motivated and enthusiastic to work on the things that you know you got to work on. You know, most of us can get a good 2 or 3 good weeks of being strong and potent, then we taper off. Some of us might get a weekend, then we taper off. Either way, we're going to go on the scripture today to kind of like refortify where we're supposed to be at in the spirit. So the first verse we're going to go into is Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 30. Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 30.
Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 30.
Yes, let's get this started.
How should one chase 1,000, and two put 10,000 to flight, except their rock has sold them, and the Lord has shut them up?
So it says, how can one chase 1,000 in battle? How can two put 10,000 to flight, unless their rock had sold them, and the Lord had shut them up? This verse kind of gives us an example of when Israel was at their peak, the type of odds that we faced, the type of odds that we welcomed and embraced in our life, and how fearless we were against battles that we had in our life, and how strong of a relationship we had towards the Lord to even be confident at those ridiculous odds. It kind of showed us the caliber men and the caliber women that we once were. Okay, that we had a gladfulness and a comfort and a willingness to embrace confrontation with unsurmountable odds. Okay, that's an important thing, and when we really meditate on that, I mean, because we're not dealing with like snipers and shooting and long distance fighting. These guys were going hand to hand, mano a mano, 1 against 1,000. And you read in the scriptures that the Hebrews weren't the biggest and the strongest of all the nations. We weren't naturally the biggest and the most put together. You had the Canaanites and your Philistines had that over us. So what was it in us to where we could see these sea of people and it didn't have us flinch? What was in us? What did we have mentally that wouldn't let us cower down to difficult situations? You can talk about not being afraid of men, but you have to also understand, what did we have complete mastery of? Was it the men or was it our fear? We had complete mastery over our fear. We had mastery over our emotions. We had mastery over what was flowing inside of us. Okay? Now let that verse go. We're going to go to Lamentations chapter 4 in verse 1 and 2. Lamentations chapter 4 verse 1 and verse 2.
Lamentations 4 and verse 2.
Let's keep the energy up. Lamentations chapter 4 verse 1 and 2. I know it's been like a week and a half, but it's like a damn month. You ever? It feels like it's been a month since we've read the Bible.
No Bible time.
And I was even prepping for class. I'm like, damn, did I forget how to even put a class together? for like 30 minutes of class, I'm like, damn, bro, can you lock the hell in and let's get going? So I'm saying this because I get it. It feels like a lifetime. But let's get back in the groove of things and let's read this. Lamentations chapter 4, verse 1 and 2.
Come, Lamentations chapter 4, verse 1. How is the gold become dim? How is the most fine gold changed?
He says, how has the gold become dim? How has the gold works, the gold mentality that we once had for us to accomplish the impossible, how is that changed? How is it dimmed? How is that gold desire? How is that gold fight in us diminished? This is what he showed us. We're in Lamentations. This is going into the fall. And going into when we started to hit rock bottom, our first death, so to speak. Read verse 1 again.
Come, Lamentations chapter 4, verse 1. How is the gold become dim?
Listen, when we read into Deuteronomy, Deuteronomy was going into our ascension. And how there was nothing getting in the way of our fight, nothing getting in the way of the battle and the victory. Deuteronomy 32 was after we had attained a victory on the east side of the Jordan against Bashan and Og. And we were sitting back here and literally putting thousands to flight because of our confidence and our mentality. And you look at us pre-getting into Canaan, and now we're into Lamentations chapter 4, which is when we were put into captivity by the Babylonians. So there's a stark contrast as to how we were at one time of a gold standard. Now that gold has become dim, has become weakened. Yes, sir.
I got a post right here. 2 Samuel chapter 22, verse 21.
Deuteronomy. Yes. Deuteronomy, yeah.
2 Samuel 22, verse 21.
Uh-huh.
The Most High rewarded me according to my righteousness.
And the blessing of the Most High is the spirit that he puts on us.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Because people are looking for tangible, physical blessings when the blessing of the Most High is his wisdom.
Yep.
Read.
And his protection.
And his protection. Big time. Read.
According to the cleanliness of mine hands hath he recompensed me.
So the Most High rewarded David a spirit based off the cleanness of his hands. Hands means work. Your yachts, your works. Read.
Verse 22. For I have kept the ways of the Most High.
He said, I have kept the ways. Kept means to protect or preserve. So I'm preserving the Most High's method. I'm not deviating to my own method. That's what David's saying.
Mm-hmm.
Read.
And have not wickedly departed from my power.
Key point. We're talking about gold becoming dim. Gold becoming dim is not by mere accident of time.
Yep.
We don't want to be a fairy tale reader. There are specific reasons why gold tarnishes.
Yep.
There are specific reasons why men and women tarnish.
Mm-hmm.
Read.
Verse 23. For all his judgments were before me.
All his judgments and concepts and consequences and patterns were before him. What does it mean that's before him? That means his eye was focused on the Most High's method of doing things. So he can't depart. Read.
And for his statutes I did not depart from them.
Read on.
I was also upright before
He said,
him.
also on top of me, making the Most High my focus, because he said his statutes were before me, right? That means he's the focus. It also says right here, I was upright before him. Upright means to be straightforward, to be direct,
Honorable.
to be honorable. So not only was the Most High my main focus, and my hands were clean, but I was also honorable. These are different elements that keep a person in that gold standard.
Okay.
Read on.
And have kept myself from mine iniquity.
And most importantly, kept himself from his own what?
Iniquity.
So some type of way, if we're talking about what tarnishes gold, he said, I kept myself away from my key point, not other people's or my environment, but his own personal iniquity.
Okay.
That's just
And what we're going to do is go into the how to maintain being clean. But before we go into the maintaining of the being clean, we have to go into the diminishing. How initially there was a fighting spirit. Initially there was a spirit of fighting all the things inside of us, and we diminished in our goal, in our approach, in our methodology, in our mentality. So read verse 1 again.
Come. Lamentations chapter 4 verse 1. How has the gold become dim? How is the most fine gold changed? The stones of the sanctuary are poured out in the top of every street.
Now, what he's explaining is we diminished because our foundation is destroyed. Our foundation was supposed to be the sanctuary. Remember when in Psalm 73 when David began to be envious of the wicked?
Yep.
What reminded him to get back on course? You remember the sanctuary of the Heavenly Father, and that brought him back in order. He's saying what established our dimming and our diminishing was the fact that, hell, our sanctuary is poured out on top of every street. We lost focus of what keeps us potent, what keeps us centered, what establishes that engine and that motor inside of us to maintain that gold standard. Let's continue in verse 2.
Come. Lamentations 4 verse 2. The precious sons of Zion, comparable to fine gold.
The precious sons of Zion is our people. And at one time we are comparable to fine gold when we're centered and our mind is right and we're spiritually grounded. Read on.
How are they esteemed as earthen pitchers?
He says, but now we're looked upon as earthen pottery, clay, weakened, broken down, diminished items. How have we fallen so quickly? How have our works and our methodology and the way that we keep our spirit together, how is that diminished and fallen over time? Read on.
The work of the hands of the potter.
Let that verse go. Now we're going to go to Leviticus chapter 26, verse 36. So going into Lamentations definitely shows us the fall. How we fell. We understand we fell because we stopped following the laws and commandments of Heavenly Father. But let's get Leviticus 26 and verse 36.
Leviticus chapter 26, verse 36. And upon them, everybody's there.
Yes, read that.
Verse 36. And upon them that are left alive.
Upon them that are left alive of you. Leviticus 26 and Deuteronomy 28 deal with the curses. Leviticus 26, Deuteronomy 28 deal with the curses. So he says the ones that are left alive after the fall, like we read in Lamentations chapter 4 and verse 1 and verse 2. The ones remaining. Read on.
I will send a faintness into their hearts in the land of their enemies.
He said one of the curses of our people was that he was going to send faintness into the hearts of the people in the land of their enemies. Are we not in the land of our enemies right now? We were also in the land of our enemies when we got sent to Babylon. But as we know, when we read Deuteronomy 28, we always bring it to like the times of now, right? But really, the faintness has followed us from one captivity to the other. This verse answers how we diminish from gold to earthen pitchers. How did we diminish from gold to earthen pitchers? Is because the Most High put that faintness of heart into our minds. He took away that boldness. He took away that fighting spirit. He took away that spirit that gave us the confidence to overcome whatever was in our life. Okay? Now what we're going to do, we're going to take a little time and go into some definition work to clearly understand faint. So somebody give me faint in the 1828. And what we're going to do, we're going to read definition 1, definition 6, and definition 7. And if it's not talking about us, I don't know what the hell is.
What's up, you?
What's that?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I just want faint.
Okay, I had faintness.
So one of the curses the Most High gave us was this faint mind, this faint heart, this faint spirit. And this will help give us clarity as to why we keep getting our tails kicked in our battle in this day. Read that definition of faint, number 1, 6, and 7.
Faint in 1828. Weak.
Weak. Now I need somebody else to give me the definition for languid. You might not get it in 1828. Languid. So faint means Most High sent us a weak spirit that was going to be on us. He gave us a weak spirit.
Wow.
Read on.
Weak, languid.
Give me languid. Somebody give me languid.
Languid. Of a person, manner, or gesture, displaying or having a disinclination for physical exertion or effort.
So listen, he says one of the curses the Most High was going to send on us was a part of us that lacks a desire to effort dealing with their issues inside. Read that again. There's a disinclination, meaning he took away that part of us that has a willingness to fight what's inside of us and be painstaking in our pursuits.
That makes sense.
Read that again. Read the language.
Languid.
Yeah, languid definition.
Languid. Of a person, manner, or gesture, displaying or having a disinclination for physical exertion or effort.
So you know what he's saying? That one of the curses is the Most High took away that part of us that actually wants to fight what's inside himself. How many of you, without a use of hands, just say, I just don't feel like fighting today. I just want to stay in my goddamn PJs and eat cereal and watch and binge watch television and sit on my ass all them day long and feel sorry for myself. That is called being languid. Now we have the definition of it. And we also know that this is a curse the Most High put on us. Knowing, because what makes it languid is not the fact that you want to relax and chill. What makes it languid is that you have a lot of things in you that you got to fix.
But you have
There's a lot of problems that are steeping on you and are stacking on you. And what do you do about it? I'm going to watch more TV. You know, I'm going to binge watch this. I know it's 50 episodes. I know it is. There's 6 seasons, 50 episodes. But I'm not a quitter. I'm going to finish where I start. I'm going to finish where I start. I'm going to ride this out to completion. Yeah, I'm committed. I'm committed to this. But all the meanwhile, there's just stacks of problems that are stacking in your life that we choose to avoid.
That's crazy.
That is the languid aspect that kills us. Read
It
on.
says languid, without energy or spirit.
Because as we're going to go into, in every battle that we face, there has to be an action, a motivation, an external force that responds to whatever force that's being put on you. But part of the curses was a faint, languid spirit that the Most High takes away our natural ability and inclination to fight back. So we cower down, we feel sorrowful for ourselves, we just feel sad, and we want everybody to fight our battles for us. That's a lot of our problems. So we're going to keep going into this definition of faint. So we got weak, languid, read on.
Inclined to swoon.
Inclined to swoon. This one hurts. Let's get some swooning going on. Let's get swoon.
Swooning.
Swoon is a goddamn problem. I'm gonna tell you that. Swoon. When I read that, I was like, good night. So he says we're inclined to swoon. Okay. Let's go.
Oh, this is
Read on. Read this.
1828.
1828 swoon. I mean, I think he can't be the definition man 1,000 places. Can somebody else please give me swoon? He can't just keep flipping because there's only one damn definition on the book.
Faint from extreme emotion.
I want to go to the 1828. Hold that one. 1828.
Swoon.
Can somebody give me the definition?
Swoon. 1828.
Golly.
Dictionary. To faint. To sink into a fainting fit.
To sink into a fainting fit. How many of us, when we have an object or a battle that the spirit, you can call it the spirit, counsel, your own mind, put you in a position, and what do? What is a fainting fit? What is that? What is a fainting fit? Because when I think of a fit, I think of a kid on the floor kicking and screaming, and I want to snatch his ass up and beat his ass. That's what I visualize when I see a fit. But they're saying this is a fainting fit. How many of us go into this pity party? We get this attitude on us, and we just refuse to do anything to get in our condition. Well, why do I have to do this? Why do I have to do that? Why do I have to do this? Why? Do we not do that?
Why ask why?
And the fainting fit really is our people that just choose to stay in their rut and just wallow in their rut. And don't do anything about getting out of their rut. And they have a fit. Meaning the fit is, they get stubborn in not changing. They get stubborn in fainting, in quitting, and not doing anything. Does that sound familiar? This is what we as a nation are cursed with. The lack of action. The lack of the motivation to act on what's inside of you. And the Most High said, I am going to give you a faint heart as a curse. Because we didn't want to serve the Most High with gladness and joyfulness of heart. So you know what he's going to do? I'm not going to let you be bold and confident and flourish and act like you're on some damn level and be out of order with me. You're going to be in fear. You're going to be crippled with fear. And the crazy thing is, the younger the generation is lately, they're more introverted. They're more in their rooms. They don't even talk to people. They're text talking. Like, you want to talk, even my kids. I want to talk to my kids. Hey, son, what's going on? I'm better off saying, hey, son, what's going on? Oh, I'm doing good, Dad. But if I call them, I might not get the pickup. But I'll get a text. I'll get a text response. What the hell's going on here?
Text.
What's going on here? But that's a young generation in general. Less confrontation. I'm just going to be in my head. Be sorrowful. What was that word again? A swoon?
Swoon. To faint. To sink into a fainting fit.
And it's going to explain what this fainting fit is. Read on.
In which there is a suspension.
There is a suspension, meaning a stopping. Read on.
Of the apparent vital functions and mental powers.
Listen, all of a sudden, mental powers, mental action, the ability to do, the ability to sit back here and make a change. Remember we read in 2 Maccabees 6:37 that we're supposed to manfully change your life? This brings this into existence even more. A person who swoons has lost the capacity to actually sit back here and change their life and start to establish positive habits that correct the negative crap that's in us. Well, I can look at the whole camp and all the camps I talk to. It's almost like if somebody isn't in your face, hovering over you to do a job, does it get done? If a person isn't hovering over you to make you fight a battle,
Not gonna happen.
you're going to swoon. You're going to swoon. You're going to sit back here and be suspended in animation, unable to actually exert any type of power to make any change around you. But this is a curse. I can't count on my hand how many people I counsel with, and they're just gripped in sorrow, sadness, self-loathing, self-hatred, unhappiness, and they don't have it in them to get out of it. They're just sad because they're sad because they're sad. And they're sad. And like they're just heavily burrowed in a sadness pocket. And they're unwilling to get out of it. And you can sit back and say, try this, try that, try this, try that. Then I get like Snuffleupagus. I'm trying, Bert. It's so hard. It's so hard to change what's inside of me. And I'm saying that not to knock it. Because this is everybody in their own way. Whether it's the sadness person, or the person that can't control their lust, or the person who can't keep a clear outlook, or a person that can't study for more than 15, 20 minutes. Right? This is an issue. Israel swoons all damn day long. We have our issues. Some of us have issues communicating with people, sharing themselves with people, coming out of themselves with people, and they're stuck in these ruts. And we're unwilling to power ourselves out of our circumstance. But that faintness is a curse. We don't teach that a lot. We teach about the white man, the white man, the white man. We don't talk about the fact that one of our curses is that we lack the willingness to work ourselves out of spiritual ruts. But wonder why the Most High don't bless us in our life. Read it again from the top. Swoon.
Swoon. To faint. To sink into a fainting fit in which there is a suspension of the apparent vital function.
There are certain vital functions that you have to defend yourself and fight sadness and anger and pride and lust. And we lack those vital functions to fight what's inside of us. We lack the mental power and will. I count so many times. I'm like, how in the hell do I counsel a person to want to change? I can show a person how to change. But it's hard as hell to sit a person down and give them an attaboy speech just to give a shit. You ever like counsel somebody or there were people and you can't even get a person to want to try? What can I tell you? That's a person who swoons, who is lacking at the time the mental powers to even try to fight their battle. That's a real thing in Israel. Now let's go back to not swoon, to faint.
Faint in the 1828 says, incline to swoon as to be rendered faint by excessive evacuations.
You know,
That's a big one right there.
Listen, he says
Evacuation.
we're rendered faint because we're constantly quitting. When that the scripture says, "Clean hands maketh the man what?"
Stronger.
The problem with the faint Israelite is that we don't stay and hang in there long enough to see the fruit of their works. We keep quitting. We're constantly evacuating. We're constantly backpedaling. But we expect to get blessed for backpedaling. He said that's a curse. The person who's backpedaling, the person who's constantly evacuating a situation, that is a curse of the Lord. That you're not trying to fight. That you're unwilling to fight. That you choose not to overcome. So, yes, sir.
Patience.
Ain't nothing with patience. It's about fighting. Because listen, you know what? Because when your back is against the wall and you're in some like Thriller dark alley, what you gonna do? You're in some Thriller dark alley. You got some guys that want to mug you, or worse. What you gonna do, bruh? Then there's got to be some force. There's got to be some exertion and fight out there.
Or a dog wants to bite you.
It ain't about patience, though. It's not about. This is about, listen. My surroundings, my environment is pushing me Am I going to push back or not? Am I going to fight back or not? We get bullied in the spirit all the time. We get, that spirit was pushing me, but I stayed calm. That wasn't what you were supposed to do. You were supposed to raise up to that bullshit. Not get bullied around and smacked around every 5 minutes. This is the problem that we have. We operate faint, languid. We swoon. It's like we're paralyzed without the know-how or the motivation to fight back. Let's read on. But read verse or paragraph. I mean the first definition again.
Faint. First definition. Weak, languid, inclined to swoon, as to be rendered faint by excessive evacuation.
And the more, it's just like clean hands makes a man stronger and stronger. Evacuating hands makes a person weaker and weaker. This is what's being said. Okay? Now, we jump to definition number 6.
Point 6. Cowardly.
Because once again, that faint person is always running from a challenge. Is always running from a battle. Is always running from a fight. Read on.
Timorous.
Timorous meaning fearful. Timid. Always being pushed around by other forces, other environments. Okay? Read on. Being timorous is being pushed and moved around by your environment. Let's find a definition though. We're going to be in definition word a lot because I think these words really kind of explain the condition way more. Can you let the young brother be here and you be over there if you could? Yeah, you got it. You got it.
Timorous.
Timorous. Please do. Thank you.
Fearful of danger.
And once again, how many times do we hear in counsels and talks this fear of loss, this fear of being let down, this fear of trying,
This is the
fear of being embarrassed, fear of being, because danger isn't just death is calling on my other side. I'm looking at death. I'm facing death. The fear of danger is being exposed, being hurt, losing something, being embarrassed, being given up on.
And it becomes the root theme of conversation.
Why I evacuate. It becomes the root theme.
Yeah.
My fear of danger is why I evacuate.
But I gotta say this though. But that's because this is what I convince myself to do. I keep bringing out the same theme, the same top. There's a line in the street.
You know why? Because the root of it is I'm faint.
Yeah.
And I swoon.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about the fact that I'm afraid to try.
But I don't want to be convinced. That's the other part of it though. Because you get a violent reaction when you as a counselor, as a brother, when you go against someone's narrative. You get violent reactions from people in general.
To be specific, to go against a person's narrative,
Yeah.
you're pushing a person into danger.
Yeah.
Because our job as counselors is to push people to not be timorous.
Yeah.
You got to face that fear.
Yeah.
You can't be afraid to lose whatever you're about to lose.
This can't dominate you.
And that's and when we push faint people into their battle, that's when they react a certain way.
Yeah.
That's when because they still want to evacuate excessively. The nature of our people, because of the curses, we want to evacuate this battle. We don't want to feel the danger, the present danger, whether it's real or imagined. A lot of us are sitting back here operating and functioning with imagined fear. It ain't even real. But that's another story. Once again, we're going into timorous. I didn't want to cut you off. I just want to kind of take it a certain direction.
Timid.
Yeah. Timid. What else? What was timorous?
Destitute of courage.
Destitute of courage.
I mean, lacking.
But this is the problem. But the only way to get the Most High's attention is if you have courage. Is if you're willing to sit back here and face the dangers that each person on earth has to face. Didn't we go over this like 3 weeks ago? It feels like at least. And when we went to 2nd Ezra 7, about there's water on one end, there's fire on the other end, but you can't get to this city unless you face your fears.
Yeah.
But he also says you got to face your fears, but one of the curses in our life was that we were going to be timid and we were going to be excessive evacuators. That makes the battle even scarier. So now we're afraid of heights. Well, we got to cross heights to get to this kingdom. Does that make sense? Was your hand up?
Is that the same thing as bashfulness?
We're going to go into that too.
Up over here. It's not off the top. Joshua 1:7.
About the courage?
Yeah, simple.
Let's keep going here because we're going to be on definition for a minute. I just want to make sure we establish this tone, and then we'll have time for that. Where are we at? Let's get back to that faint.
Faint. Point 6. Cowardly, timorous. A faint heart never wins a fair lady.
Okay. Paragraph 7.
7.
Well, listen, that last part's true also, but
Point 7.
for whoever it hits. No, number 7.
Feeble. Not vigorous.
Now I want to go into that not vigorous angle, bro. Keep going. Not vigorous. Read on.
Not active.
Not active. That's an important concept to hold on to. Let's do active. We're going to go back to this active word down the line. But let's look up active first.
Wait, active or vigorous?
Active. I want active because we're going to go into active later on. Active. Let's just do definition number 3.
Active in the 1828.
You know what? No. We're going to get that later because that's the fun part. Scratch it. No. We're going to just know that being faint is opposite of being vigorous. To be faint is to be opposite of being vigorous and active. And I think we've explained enough about the faintness that we can continue in class, because when we go into the vigorous and activeness, it kind of gives you a contrast of where we're at and where our situation is. So we're going to let that go and go to Isaiah chapter 24. Isaiah chapter 24, verse 17 and 18. And this kind of explains dealing with that fearful nature and dealing with that constant evacuation. That part of us is constantly evacuating our battle. Okay? Isaiah 24, verse 17 and 18.
Isaiah 24, verse 17. Fear and the pit and the snare are upon thee.
Fear, the pit, and the snare are upon thee. Read on.
O inhabitants of the earth.
The inhabitants of the earth that are cursed. The ones that are cursed, matter of fact, we didn't even finish Leviticus 26 and 36. Who had that verse?
Still have it.
Read that, sir.
Leviticus chapter 26. You want me to go to the middle where we left?
Just read it from the top, sir.
John, Leviticus chapter 26, verse 36. And upon them that are left alive of you, I will send a faintness into their hearts in the land of their enemies. And the sound of a shaken leaf shall chase them.
A shaken leaf is going to scare him, man. That's how panicked and scary and unwilling we are to be in a fighting spirit. Now, when you read in Deuteronomy about the one man chasing 1,000 men, that we can't even conceive that kind of concept because of how much fear cripples us and dominates our everyday life even to this day. Our fear of talking to people, our fear of being let down, our fear of having our heart broke. We can't listen. When it says we were like gold, we sat back here and didn't let nothing get in the way of our pursuits. Now we're sitting back here afraid of being told no. What kind of shit is this? This is how far we've diminished. This is how far we have watered ourselves down. But let's continue.
God, and they shall flee as fleeing from a sword, and they shall fall when none pursue it.
And this is our people. Our people are expert quitters. expert evacuators. That's what a faint spirit is. Now let's continue. Now let's go to Isaiah. And so verse 17 said, fear, the pit, and the snare are on the inhabitants of the earth. The individuals that are running and afraid of everything around them. Read verse 18.
Isaiah 24, verse 18. And it shall come to pass that he who fleeth from the noise of the fear shall fall into the pit.
What he's telling you is the person that's always running, that's always afraid to fight their battle, their condition gets worse when they run. When they run from what's in front of them, the fear turns into falling into a pit. Read on.
And he that cometh up out of the midst of the pit shall be taken in the snare.
He's telling us the Most High understands what he curses with, but if we don't fight our battle, our conditions get worse and worse and worse. Whether it's trust, whether it's basic organization, whether it's communication skills, whether it's fear, doubt, the more we run from our battles, the worse our condition gets. It doesn't get better. Evacuating the issues don't solve anything. You bring him back. I don't know what he's doing. Okay? What's that? What you need? Okay. But continue. Read verse 18 again.
Come. Isaiah 24, verse 18. And it shall come to pass that he who fleeth from the noise of the fear shall fall into the pit. And he that cometh up out of the midst of the pit shall be taken in the snare. For the windows from on high are open, and the foundations of the earth do shake.
He's letting us know if we don't stand up and fight our battles, our conditions get worse and worse and worse. They don't get better. For those of us who have to sit back here and work on their health, we can keep running from our health issues. They're not getting any better. If we're sitting back here and afraid to engage people and connect to people and win people, that issue isn't getting better in your life. For those of us who lack the ability to follow and be humble, your conditions are not going to get any better not being able to be humble. If we don't fight the things that are inside of us, our conditions get worse. Those fears become snares. They become pits and snares and deeper reasons why we can't get out of the situations in our lives. Okay? So let that verse go and go to Deuteronomy chapter 20, verse 1 through 8. Deuteronomy 20, verse 1 through 8. Yes, Amiyaki. I know, bro. It's been messing up. We got to find another way to keep it up because it's flying around all weird, bro. And the tape isn't working. Thank you, sir. It's that guy. I'm messing. Nobody knows who this guy is. It's that guy over to my left here. So read this in Deuteronomy chapter 20, verse 1 through 8.
Deuteronomy 20, verse 1. When thou goest out to battle against thine enemies, and seest horses, and chariots, and a people more than thou, be not afraid of them. For the Most High thy power is with thee, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt.
So he's saying, when you're sitting back here and facing insurmountable odds, don't be afraid. Okay? Read on.
And it shall be, when ye are come nigh unto battle, that the priest shall approach and speak unto the people, and shall say unto them, Hear, O Israel, ye approach this day unto battle against your enemies. Let not your hearts faint. Fear not, and do not tremble, neither be terrified because of them.
So now he's giving us clarification about that faint spirit. When you're facing obstacles, when you're facing things that you're not comfortable in your life, you can't be so quick to evacuate the situation. Read on.
Verse 4. For the Lord is your power, for the Lord is your power, is he that goeth with you to fight for you against your enemies, to save you.
And this is the situation. What should help us from the spirit of evacuating is the notion that the Most High is with you. We don't sit back here, one, acknowledge what our real fears are. It takes us 5 to 10 years to even acknowledge what we're really running from in the first place. Two, once you know what your problems are, why aren't we using the Heavenly Father to start driving us and fueling us forward? Because the thing is this, I think there's a verse, I'm kind of using it a little premature, but I think it's important. Let's go to Ecclesiastes 34 and 14.
Ecclesiastes chapter 34, verse 14.
Yes. Read that.
Ecclesiastes 34 and 14. Whoso feareth the Lord shall not fear, nor be afraid.
So what he's telling us is, too many of us are timorous and fearful, and we operate with faintness because we fear the situation and we don't fear the Heavenly Father. Because if we feared the Heavenly Father, the fear of letting Him down, the fear of turning our back on Him would be greater than the facing of the fear that we're running from. Something has got to be the focus, the stabilizing factor that reverses this fear. Okay, we know that in Leviticus 26, the curse was to have this faint-hearted mind. But then, you know what, if it was a curse from the Most High, the only thing that's going to break the curse is to learn to have a greater fear of the Heavenly Father than to have a fear of whatever loss that you're anticipating. The thing is, we fear men, we fear the carnal more than we fear the spirit. For all of us to talk about being afraid of being let down and being hurt again, well, it's almost like we're saying, let me be rebellious and not fight my battle because I don't want a person to hurt me. But I'm okay with shitting on the Most High. I'm okay with not following Him. He'll understand. But I just don't want to fight this battle because I don't want to fight this battle. The only way to break fear is to have fear of the Lord. He's trying to tell us what is it going to take to shift the rut that you're in. The only way to break the rut, you better manufacture some damn fear of the Lord. This is why you have to read. You have to study. You have to give yourself to the Word to manufacture enough fear to neutralize these strong thoughts that are rolling on you. What we're going to read on in a little bit is what makes, what's the word? Virtuous, what makes valiant people valiant versus the faint-hearted people. We're going to go into the different traits that you have to actually learn how to be valiant, to actually learn how to find enthusiasm into confronting and facing your fears and the obstacles that are keeping you from getting closer to Heavenly Father. Okay. Continuing Deuteronomy. Who had it?
Deuteronomy chapter 20. What verse were we on?
I think we're verse 4. It's going to be verse 4 again.
Verse 4. The Lord your power is He that goeth with you, to fight for you against your enemies, to save you.
But He's only going to fight for you if you use Him as your motivation to get you to not operate in this faithful, timorous spirit. Read on.
And the officers shall speak unto the people, saying, What man is there that has built a new house and has not dedicated it? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in battle, and another man dedicate it.
The crazy thing is, this is the law about going to war in Deuteronomy 20. And he's saying because he understands the nature of people, if you're just building your house, he's like, let you focus on building your house, because that will be the reason why you die.
Yeah.
What he's letting us know is, it's not that it was honorable to sit back here and focus on your home above the work and above the defending of your nation, but he knows what people use to justify why they don't want to fight their battle in their life. Read on.
Verse 6. And what man is he that hath planted a vineyard and hath not yet eaten of it? Let him also go and return unto his house, lest he die in the battle, and another man eat of it.
Read on.
And what man is there that hath betrothed a wife and hath not taken her? Let him go and return unto his house, lest he die in battle, and another man take her.
Read on.
You know what this also shows? It shows part of the fears that man has that prevents them from progressing in the work is a fear of regret. A lot of people, they don't take the next step to pursue the Heavenly Father because I fear that I'm going to lose something in the back end. Or I'm going to regret the decision I made. I'm going to end up looking back.
There's no doubt.
So instead of me looking back in the future, I'm just not going to progress.
Yep. Because you know why? Because ultimately, growing is secondary. What we want in the flesh is first.
Yep.
And that's why. So what the Most High tries to do in Deuteronomy 28 is to eliminate all of the justifications or reasons why I should quit. Once those reasons to quit are removed, then what's your reason for being afraid? What's your reason for hesitating? What's your reason for not being 100% committed in the moment right now in your battle? These chapters are giving us little insights on what he's expecting us to do in our personal battles. Okay? Let's continue.
Deuteronomy 20 and verse 8. And the officers shall speak further unto the people, and they shall say, what man is there that is fearful and faint-hearted? Let him go and return unto his house, lest his brethren's heart faint as well as his heart.
So what he's saying is, listen, you can't even do anything with a faint-hearted person. You can't do anything with a person that's always configured to evacuate and run. Who isn't learning how to condition himself to push forward. The reality is all of us face different type of obstacles in our life. Some things that we're naturally inclined to do, a lot of things we're not naturally inclined to do. But we have our entire lifetime to practice on these aspects of our life that create this faintness, this swooning. Another way to explain swooning is this: you're just glitching, man. There's parts of your battle that you just don't fight. You just you lose the mechanism to create action and activity to change your condition. Because this is what it takes. Listen, some of us can read all damn day long and still not have any activity. You ever met that kind of person? They can read all day long, they read for hours. But when it comes to getting shit done, they can't get shit done. And what good was the reading? Right?
Yeah.
There's got to be a manufactured action behind the reading, the prayers, the meditation. Listen, you have some people that are talkers. You have some people that need 1,000 counsels. But what good is all the 1,000 counsels if you don't do anything behind it? Let this go. We're going to go into Ecclesiastes 20, verse 22 and 23. This is a different aspect of fear and faint-heartedness. 22 through 23. And then give me Ecclesiastes, the Apocrypha 12, verse 4 and 5. 20, verse 22 and 23.
God. Ecclesiastes in the Apocrypha, chapter 20, verse 22. There is that destroyeth his own soul through bashfulness.
There is a person that destroys his own soul through bashfulness. Let's look up bashfulness real quick.
Bashfulness in the 1828. Ready?
Yeah.
Excessive or extreme modesty. A quality of mind often visible in external appearance. As in blushing, a downcast look, confusion.
What does that mean? To be excessive or extreme in your modesty.
Have like a reluctance to deal with a matter effectively or time with that.
That's part of it. Another part of it would be when there is an extremeness in you not to deal with confrontation. There's an overness. You're so afraid to deal with confrontation. You're so fearful to deal with and be concerned with how your words and your reactions could harm somebody, that nothing gets done, that people aren't checked, people aren't corrected, righteousness isn't being implemented. I've talked to brothers many a times when I counsel them, and they're always saying, man, I was about to be so angry. I was about to be angry. You don't understand how angry I was going to get. I'm like, maybe you should have been angry. Maybe you should have been a little angry so that maybe the person that was offending you could realize how they were treating you. Sometimes people push their emotions down so much to their detriment and to the people surrounding them's detriment. You can't be that way anyway. Now, for the person who don't have a problem with keeping it real, this doesn't apply to you. Because sometimes, for the other side, you keep it real too damn much. You need to learn discretion. This is for the bashful person that chooses not to engage at all. Yes, that's another way to say it. I'm a doormat. I'm a pushover, and my reason for being a pushover is because I didn't want to blow up. Wait, I think you should have blown up. I think you should have blown up a little bit. Maybe if you blown up, people will learn boundaries and learn how to respect boundaries. Sometimes you got to sit back here and raise up people to respect you and treat you with respect. So it says this bashful person, read verse 22.
God. Ecclesiastes chapter 20, verse 22. There is that destroys his own soul through bashfulness, and by accepting of persons overthroweth himself.
Exactly. Because when you start sitting back here and accepting anybody's attitude, accepting whatever somebody says, how they talk to you, how they roll on you, and you just accept it, you can't do that either. Yes, sir.
So this kind of mindset, this is somebody that wants to avoid confrontation.
Yes. They want to avoid confrontation. They call themselves being a peacemaker.
No, it's not true.
But then they say I'm trying to keep the peace. Oh man, I was gonna blow up on this person. Ooh, they don't want to see me when I'm angry.
Yeah.
You hear that? Oh, I'm like, listen, man, I'm gonna fall like these brothers is capping like a mug, bro. This is cap. And I don't even want to use that word. But I'm sitting here like, were they really gonna blow up? Were they really gonna sit back here and cause chaos like they said they are? I'm like, no, they weren't gonna cause chaos, bro. The thing is, for the bashful person, you need to cause chaos. And the person that's always yapping, you need to keep your mouth shut. Somebody had a hand up? Yes.
And also, I have another question. Just because we're on this, is this also somebody who's a people pleaser?
Yes.
I come across people like that too.
I do too. I do it too in a lot of councils. Listen, we want to make everybody happy, but the sad thing with Israel, If you don't establish boundaries and limitations, people just disrespect you and disrespect you, and they keep pushing. And they're going to push as long as you let them push. And then when you snap, oh, you've changed. Why? Wow! What did I do? You're a different person now. You're not the man I fell in love with. These are real sound bites. These are real sound bites in real life counsels. Am I right or wrong? They're like,
I'll never forgive you.
yes.
You're the problem.
You're the problem.
You're the devil.
Because you have, you know what? And they are. Because you let a person do what the hell they want to do for 14 months. And now you start changing up. And now you're Diablo. You should have kept it real off rip. And they would have been respect from the jump. But once again, when you're bashful, and that bashfulness comes from being afraid to lose. It's fear. It's another element of fear. It's another element of how we swoon. We're just not honest with how we get weak. We swoon because we don't allow that mechanism in us to stand up for what's right to actually rise up. So this is why sometimes, and I'm not advocating this, but you know, sometimes the person that keeps getting pushed around, sometimes he gets violent. And I'm not justifying. I'm trying to tell brothers, instead of getting violent, sit back here and establish boundaries off rip. So there don't got to be any extremes in how people operate. Yes.
Can I prove that real quick?
Yeah.
Job 32 and verse 17 through 22.
Oh.
But
you see how it was like, I thought it was 17.
Because it goes right into, but also goes into the point I was going to try to pull anyway.
Job what?
Job 32 and verse 17. I'm really not. I promise you. I already have
Job 32 and what? Job 32 and what, man?
17 and verse through 22. Got another verse in there?
No.
It's the same concept.
Let's just read this one and see what happens.
Okay.
Verse by verse situation out.
Yeah.
Job 32, verse 17.
And the reason I'm pulling this is because you made a good point in saying the person, I was talking to somebody the other day about the quiet person. They always say you got to fear the quiet person. Because the quiet person, although they're not saying everything that's on their head, they're having internal wars. They're having some deep negative thoughts, and it's going to keep festering and building up over time to when all of a sudden that person blows up, and you're going to be like, what's going on with this guy? This guy was always the quiet, he's always the peacemaker. Why is he so aggressive? Why is he so angry? What it's showing is when you hold in that particular anger or frustration of being, whether it be righteous frustration or just be, hey, I just haven't talked to nobody. What happens is it builds up over time. And there's a reactionary response that could be either extremely negative or positive. Read that real quick.
John, I said, I will answer also my part. I also will show my opinion.
So Elihu, we understand the story of Job. He was pretty much on trial with three of his fellow elders. Elihu was the youngest of the elders. He was listening to Job, and what he interpreted from Job is, Job, you're sitting here telling us that the Most High is unrighteously dealing with you right now. He's unrighteously cursing you right now. Now we understand the Most High doesn't do anything unrighteous. He's a just man. So this young brother is hearing this and is watching his fellow elders not say anything and not check or correct this man. So his response is, I was listening, I was patient. Read on.
John, verse 18. For I am full of matter, the spirit within me constrained me.
He says, I am full of matter. Now my stress, my vexation is picking up because now you're sitting here talking against the Most High. What you're telling me is the Most High is doing you wrong. I can't accept that answer. Read on.
For I am full of matter, the spirit within me constrained me. Behold, my belly is as wine with no vent.
Which had no vent. Read on.
It is ready to burst like a new bottle.
So explain this. When you get to that point, that pressure point of release, it is bound to be an explosion. Now, what you choose to do with that explosion will determine are you going to be in the right spirit or in the negative spirit. But the problem is, if you're not getting it out, it's going to keep building up over time. And your likelihood of having a positive response becomes less and less because you're not venting it. You're not airing it out. Read on.
Verse 20. I will speak that I may be refreshed.
So the only way to refresh that bashful spirit is to speak, is to get it out. Read on.
I will open my lips and answer. Let me not, I pray you.
Because, like a word with earlier, there's a difference between fearing losing friends, losing friendship, losing relationships, losing close relationships, versus fearing the Most High. What we're going to find out is the Most High doesn't accept any persons. He doesn't accept any type of relationship bonds. If you're a negative spirit, you need to be told you're in a negative spirit. If your actions are causing a downfall of other people, you need to be told your actions are off. And if you be the person that's witnessing this, and you're afraid to say anything, but you're angry, you know it's unjust, you know it's wrong, that spirit is building up, and you don't say anything, you're now testing the Most High.
Really, to be specific, you're an evil watchman.
Exactly.
You're supposed to be a watchman.
That's
You're supposed to tell people, if you're a husband, you're supposed to tell people that danger's coming.
Huh?
And if you don't, and they fall, the blood's on you.
And that's
so
the point.
we're not allowed to operate bashful, and the Most High bless us.
Huh?
Either way, the Most High keeps showing us that being timid, that being timorous, what's the other word? Faint-hearted, faint. That's a one-way ticket to failure in the eyes of Heavenly Father. We run from our battles, we run from our circumstances. We're one step out of this truth. You have more on that?
Yeah, I got more on that. Read on.
Let me not, I pray you, accept any man's persons.
Yep.
Neither let me give flattering titles unto man.
Because this is where it holds us back from saying the truth.
Yep.
We live in the truth. We're supposed to be about the truth. But what hinders the truth is, this is my husband. This is my elder. This is my brother. This is my sister.
Oh, this is my wife.
This is my wife. We have close bonds.
Here and get pushed around by the rib.
This is my family. I don't want to sit here and rub them the wrong way.
And I don't want to lose them.
I don't want to lose them. I don't want them to look at me negative. You know, for those that have family members that are not in the truth, it's going to come a point where what you're saying is going to push them away.
Yep.
It's inevitable. There's nothing about this truth that's going to have two opposite forces dwell in the same realm.
And do you have, because you know the truth is, when it comes to fighting your battle, even with family members, people that you love, do you have faith that the Most High will bring them back? Or do you have faith that if you did everything in your power the right way, the Most High will sit back and reward you with that person back in the right spirit or a better person? Where's your faith? Because ultimately, us standing up for what's right around anybody around us is about having faith. And do I fear the Lord more than I fear losing whoever's around me? Yes, sir.
That timorous definition also was scruple, meaning to hesitate to believe.
And that's the thing. Everything about that faint-hearted person is about hesitation, double thinking, unsure, a lack of confidence, a lack of an ability to sit back and make a strong decision and stick by it.
Wait.
It goes into this. I'm jumping a little bit, but okay, finish it. Yes.
Give me that last verse in 22 real quick.
Yeah, the next three verses go into it. You're good. Yeah.
Verse 22. For I know not to give flattering titles, and so doing, my Maker would soon take me away.
Do we look at bashfulness as the Most High will take me away if I don't change His spirit in us?
If I don't stand up for what's right and not be afraid to lose?
Because what's your job? What's your purpose other than being a light into the world? How can I be a light if I'm not enforcing that light?
And being a light, a lot of times, is setting the stage for the Most High to do the real work.
Exactly.
You know how many times you sit back here and you counsel somebody, you give advice? Yeah, listen to what you're saying. The more you get up in rank and you become El General, all that, these crazy labels you're given, you realize you can counsel all damn day long. People ain't listening. They don't listen until you give them instruction and they go off and run the streets, get their ass kicked. Then they think about the counsel you said.
Yeah, that's real.
That's the truth.
That's real.
All the other crap is BS. To think that you got the power to change the minds of the young individuals, the young Jews. Please, bro.
It's funny you say that because it's almost like The second you make the same mistake that your elder told you not to do, that conversation pops.
And that's the only time the teacher and counselor has power.
That's real. That's real.
You're supposed to sit back here. That's why in Ezekiel the scripture says we're supposed to warn people. Our power is in warning people and having enough love to warn you and step out the way. So when you do fall on your face, you'll know I was wrong. I know. So we've got a lot of Salakiaks.
Yeah.
Or they won't say anything and nothing's happening. But they'll be back in class. Then being back in class is like, okay, Salaki, I wasn't listening. And that's okay. Because it's not about any glory that comes from this job. But back to the bashful point is you can't sit back here and be afraid to be the person. All of us play a part.
No.
You got to warn so the Most High's words can have more penetration. Yes.
I'll never forget. I was trying to win this young brother. And, in the process of trying to win somebody, that bashfulness creeps in there. Because the bashfulness is, I don't want to offend you. Even though I know there's obvious wrong, you're young in the spirit, I'm not trying to step on your toes. But I was having a real conversation with him. I said, you know what? You got to listen to your mom, bro. I said, the reality is, I know you're young. You're a teenage man. But
boy,
I try to give him some respect. So you're growing up. You know what I'm saying? You're in high school now. You're making
still a boy, man. But I'm listening to you.
Look, I know when I was in high school, I wanted to treat like a man. So I was like, you know what? Hey, bro, you got to start embodying what a man is. You got to listen to your mother. Be a strong example. I said, but you know what? If you
paying your own bills. You paying some. You paying a mortgage? Okay, now we're talking about it.
Yeah,
can you pay the water and electric?
That's crazy.
I'll say you're a young man.
That's hilarious.
Pay something. Anyway, I'm sorry.
But,
I'm sorry.
I was talking to him. I said, you know what? What you got to realize is, because I was just teaching about the Most High. And I was like, if you don't start listening and locking in and following how the Most High wants you to operate, you're going to start getting stuck. He said, what do you mean by that? I said, well, you starting to drive, right? He said, yeah. I said, well, you'll get in a car accident if you don't listen. He's like, really? Nah, that ain't going to happen. I said, okay. I said, look, brother, I just hope you follow, bro. The very next day, this is a true testament. He didn't listen to his mother again. So much so, he took his mother's car keys. And then he got in an accident.
Oh, I remember that.
And I came home, and I was talking to him. I said, what happened? He said, I remember what you said. He said, if I didn't listen to my mom...
Now we listen. Now we hear the
Most High would get me in a car accident. I got in a car accident. I said, oh. I really felt... I was scared for him. I said, bro, it's a good thing that you got hit so quick, but it's a bad thing if you don't make any adjustments. But the point was, a person who never believed in the Most High was able to see, okay, what you said was real. Because it happened to me immediately.
But when you do that, you can't say in the back of your head, if I tell him the truth, he ain't going to want to listen to me no more.
Exactly.
If I tell him the truth, he ain't going to be my friend.
Because that's the fear.
Because you want to win a spirit. You win a spirit by being honest with him.
Yeah.
And being direct with the person. You don't win a spirit by pity-patting. Oh, I got to win. I got to win friends before I teach him the truth. You show that you give a damn by telling him the truth. Okay. That's how you show love. You don't got to be cruel. But honesty is important, because that's when the Spirit of Christ can flow through you. It's through honesty and directness. You get on that?
Good.
Let that go and go to Ecclesiasticus 12, verse 4 and 5. I got it in it.
No.
Did I?
I did that.
Yeah, you did that. And, yeah.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 12, verse 4. Give to the godly man, and help not a sinner.
Kinda. Read on.
Verse 5. Do well unto him that is lowly, but give not to the ungodly.
This is dealing with that bashful spirit. You reward somebody who's on point. You don't win a person that's out of order. You don't sit back and go out of your way for somebody who's not trying to change. You sit back and make it about the book when they're not trying to change. Read on.
Hold back thy bread.
I'm holding back all this extra. I want to reward you because you're negative and you're pouty and you want to throw fits. You ain't getting all this extra time when you want to be out of order. Read on.
And give it not unto him, lest he overmaster thee thereby.
Lest he overmaster thee. And a lot of the bashful people, one way you know you're bashful is that you reward bad behavior. You reward negative behavior. You still give a person what they want, even when they're acting a damn fool. That's how you know you're bashful. And when you reward a person when they're out of order, that's how they overmaster you. Then what's the incentive for a person to be right? If you give them what they want and give them their freedom, despite their conduct and attitude, now you're a slave to them. When they overmaster you, that means you're a slave to them. Because you're going to give them what they want and they know it. You give them what they want whenever they want it, you have no control over the situation. You're a slave to them. Now your fear card has been exposed, and either you got to get out of there and lay the law down and take the loss, or keep being a slave. What we're going over right here is just different elements of that fear and that timorous spirit that ends up destroying us. Going back to Leviticus 26, this was one of the curses, having a faint heart, which is what's happening with our spirit, which is why we can't grow in our life. Now, somebody give me Psalms 88 and 15, yeah, and then Proverbs 29 and 25, which is on there. Psalms 88 and 15, and then Proverbs 29.
What verse? 29 verse 25.
But we're going to Psalms 88 first.
Psalms chapter 88 and verse 15. Whenever you're ready.
Yeah.
I am afflicted and ready to die from my youth up. While I suffer thy terrors, I am distracted.
David is telling us, when we're in our battle, when we're in our fight, when that fear is really rampant on us, we're distracted. The fear brings about the lack of clarity and distractions. A lot of times, we make our life so hard. That might catch fire. We make our life so hard because of the self-imposed fears we have inside of ourselves. Because of these fears are so strong in us, it's hard for us to think clear. It's hard for us to be spiritually stable. It's hard for us to work ourselves through our issues because we're too distracted by the fear. We don't know how to get ourselves out the fear. Go to Proverbs 29 and 25.
Come. Proverbs chapter 29, verse 5 reads.
25, sir.
Okay, it's like 25. The fear of man bringeth a snare, but whoso putteth his trust in the Lord shall be saved.
The fear of man, the fear of losing a woman, the fear of the people around us, those things bring about a snare or a distraction. Okay? Read verse 25 again.
The fear of man bringeth a snare.
Okay? Now listen. Snare, definition for snare. Somebody get that for me? So it says, the fear of man bringeth about a snare.
Snare.
Number 2. I think it's number 2.
Snare. 1828. Webster's Dictionary. Point number 2. Anything by which one is entangled.
The thing is this. When you're afraid, you're really entangled in your emotions, in your feelings, and you can't see clear, you can't judge clear, you can't counsel clear, you can't fight through your battles clear, because we allow that fear to have too much dominance over us. Okay? Let that definition go and continue in 25.
Come. The fear of man bringeth a snare, but whoso putteth his trust in the Lord shall be saved.
Okay, now we're going to let that go. We're going to jump a couple verses. It's getting a little later. Let's do a Matthew chapter 25 and verse 24 through 30. This kind of goes into that fearful mind, that faint-hearted mind, and how the Most High looks at that person who's dominated with that fearful spirit, or that faint-hearted spirit. Let's do this.
Matthew chapter 25, verse 24. Then he which had received the 1 talent.
Now this chapter, obviously, Matthew 25 is dealing with the talents. Okay, you had a person with 5 talents, you had a person with 3 talents, you had a person with 1 talent. Okay, now the person with 5 talents, I didn't want to go from verse 14. The person with 5 talents doubled their talents and had 10. at the end when the Lord came back. The guy with 3 talents had 6. Okay, now the guy with 1 talent, we're going to read about what happened with the guy with the 1 talent. Read on.
It says, Then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee that thou art an hard man, reaping where thou hast not sown, and gathering where thou hast not strawed.
Mm-hmm.
And I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, thou hast this. Salaki, thou hast that is thine.
So what he's saying is this person that had the 1 talent was consumed with fear. And that fear kept him from taking that talent and actually doubling it. Okay? Read on.
Verse 26. His Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap.
He's telling us that faint-hearted person is wicked and slothful. That person that's used to evacuating, used to running, used to not engaging in their issues is wicked and slothful. That's not something to play with. We can't sit back here and operate in our life and be afraid to lose and be afraid to engage into anything that makes us uncomfortable. Because honestly, always going to the topic about hell. You know what? Everybody can debate on what it takes to get to the kingdom. Everybody can debate on how a person wants to structure a camp. We can all debate about what are the specific things a person has to do to get to the kingdom, what type of camp structure is necessary to accommodate that. You know what? But what cannot be debated is that every single one of us are on the hook with doubling our talents. That's what Christ tells us. And if we don't double our talents, we're wicked and we're slothful. Those are facts. That is unquestionable what the expectations the Heavenly Father got for us. So even though we've been cursed, reading in Leviticus 26, that we're going to have a faint spirit, that curse, we cannot allow that curse to keep us from doubling our talents. Because that is the thing that keeps us from growing. What keeps us from doubling our talents and growing is fear. Fear of loss, fear of discomfort, fear of looking bad. Fear is that motivation behind why we don't change the unnecessary amount of things for the Most High in Christ to say, well done, my good and faithful servant. You're going to enter this kingdom. Read verse 26 again.
Matthew 25, verse 26. His Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchanger.
So when he says, you should have sat back here and took what I gave you and committed it to people who can show you how to double it. That's what the exchangers are the people, the teachers, the counselors that can show you the tools necessary to take the things you're good at, use those lessons to help double so you can be more productive for the Heavenly Father. That's the word. Okay? And he says, you knew that I reap where I sowed not. Meaning, Christ is sitting back here and expecting change from us. We all have things that we're strong in, and the Most High keeps us humble by bringing things that we're weak in into the picture also. None of us are the complete package, and he does that to keep us humble. For all the things we're not strong at, we have a lifetime to figure out how to gain control of it, how to gain power over those things that have too much power over us. And what we should be, this is why we come to class. This is why we get taught. So we can go to exchangers to teach us how to gain leverage over the things that have weakened us this entire time in our life. You get a hand up? No. Okay, I saw a finger move. That's good. You're good. No, you're good. Let's continue.
And then, at my coming, I should have received mine own with usury.
Because Christ wants his own, the stuff, the talents, the abilities he naturally gave us. And he wants to see more talents that we have added on in Christ. And the talents are based on our studying, our humility, our willingness to follow and get taught and learn. Read on.
Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which hath 10
The
talents.
scary thing is, if we don't overcome this fear, if we don't overcome this fear that cripples us, Christ is going to take away the talent he gave us and give it to the person that he knows will use the talent and double it. We're all on the hook to fight our fear and to use Christ in the scriptures to overcome our fear and to have the desire to fight. Read on.
God. Verse 29. For unto every one that hath shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that hath not shall be taken away even that which he hath.
So read in verse 30 about what happens to the person that doesn't double their talents, that allows fear to control them, that has that constant evacuating spirit dominate their lives. Read verse 30.
30. And cast ye the unprofitable servant.
The unprofitable servant is the servant that's crippled with fear, that's crippled with a lack of activity, a lack of force behind dealing with your problems. Read on.
Into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Because everybody's going to be crying after they fall and don't make the kingdom. Crying about, well, how come I can't get in? We have an entire lifetime now. We don't know how long we got left. We better learn how to manufacture some fight. And we're going to go into that real quick about how to manufacture it and what great men in Christ did to manufacture the fight. And then we'll go back into the class because I want to make sure I get this point in, and then we'll double back on the other points. Go to 2 Samuel chapter 17, verse 10 and verse 8. Second Samuel 17, verse 10, and then verse 8.
Come. 2 Samuel 17, verse 10. And he
We're kind of going out of the order, but I want to bring this in before we have enough time to explain it. Read this, sir.
2 Samuel chapter 17, verse 10.
Mm-hmm.
And he also, that is valiant, whose heart is as the heart of a lion.
He said, and he also that is valiant, whose heart is as the heart of a lion. He was talking about David's men that were valiant and mighty men. Now I want to sit back and go into the definitions of valiant and what makes a person valiant versus weak. Because you don't have to be a man to be valiant. You can be valiant in Christ and be a woman. Let's explain the traits of being valiant. Okay, 1828, valiant, and I want, let me see. Let's give me one for now.
Valiant, 1828, Webster's Dictionary. Point number 1, primarily strong, vigorous in body.
Okay, so it's primarily strong, vigorous in body. Hold on 1 second. 1 second. Okay. Now, let's see. Hold this and go to vigorous. So it says strong, primarily strong, and it says vigorous, right?
Come.
You want me to read vigorous?
Yes, I want vigorous. Because it's a combination of the words that kind of give clarity to things. So vigorous, number 1.
Come, vigorous, full of physical strength or active force.
So he says, full of vigorous strength or active force. In order to be valiant, in order to be a doer, there has got to be active force in what you do. Too many times amongst Israel, we talk about things, we read about things, but there's not enough active force in what we do every day. There's not enough action. There's not enough actions and decisions that we make on a daily basis to get us towards a better or greater situation. Give me number 2 in that definition of vigorous.
Powerful, strong, made by strength, either of body or mind.
So what he's saying is a vigorous person is strong, powerful, and they're strong in their body or their mind. So this active force is either physically you're sitting back here and changing your situation, or you're constantly mentally doing something about your situation. All I can tell you is this. Matter of fact, before we go into that, the first definition of vigorous said full of physical strength or active force, right? Let's go to active real quick. It's going to all tie in.
Which one do you want?
Active. And it's number 3.
Active. Busy. Constantly engaged in action. Pursuing business with vigor and assiduity.
Assiduity. So what it's saying is this. He says, an active mind. What was that other definition we had, vigorous? Number 1?
Calm. Vigorous. Let me go back to the slide. Vigorous. Full of physical strength or active force. Strong.
So he said vigorous was full of physical strength and what? Active force, right?
Calm.
So now we're getting into active. Active is busy. Read on.
Constantly engaged in action.
Mm-hmm.
Pursuing business with vigor and assiduity. Opposed to dull, slow, or indolent.
Now somebody else give me assiduity.
Assiduity.
Because the thing is this. That active person is constantly engaged into physical or mental action. What kills most of us when we're in our rut? We stop physically changing our situation, and we stop mentally figuring out ways to attack our thoughts. Think about this. When we're sitting back in our ruts, what's the one thing that's constant? When we're in our rut, what's the one thing that's not stopping? Negative thoughts. The negative thoughts don't take a break. Do they?
Nope.
That Satan is rolling all day long, especially when you're alone. Then those are like, do. They're coming at you. But there has to be action, activity, mentally or physically, that's constantly engaged in action. This is what a vigorous person is doing. A vigorous person is a valiant and vigorous person is constantly active in attacking their thoughts. They're constantly active in figuring out another way to gain mastery over what's inside of them. That's the difference. The difference between somebody who's faint-hearted and a person who's valiant is that the person who's valiant doesn't quit. He doesn't stop. He or she doesn't stop getting counsel. Doesn't stop studying. Doesn't stop creating action
Or applying.
and applying.
Because
That's the action.
People like to go into the spirit of dreaming.
Yep.
And spirit of imagination.
Can't do
When
it.
it's really about
It's
basic,
action.
bare bones application.
But it's thoughts that actually lead to action. It's thoughts that lead to strategies to overcoming what's inside of you. The problem is we don't think on that. We're not constant in that thinking. All we do is say we can't do it. We can't do it. It's too hard. Why try? That's a lazy ass mind. It's going to explain. So it said, read number 3 again for active.
Busy. Constantly engaged in action.
You're constantly engaged in mental action. These thoughts are leading to an action. These thoughts are leading to a solution. What I mean is this: if I have an issue with drinking alcohol, then am I going to meditate constantly on ways that I can neutralize this? What are strategies I can use to stop drinking? Maybe I start working out. Maybe I start changing my diet. Maybe I start sitting back here and drinking Topo Chicos. I gotta do something. And if Topo doesn't work, no, Topo helps. I'm not even lying. For those who have alcohol issues, drink Topo. You get the little fizzy drink, and it kind of gives you a little feeling that's at least halfway better than drinking nothing. What am I trying to say? How active are you in neutralizing these issues that dominate you? How much are you engaged in figuring out different ways to overcome your issue? If you have back issues, okay, what are you going to do to fix your back? How dedicated and painstaking are you to sit back and figure out ways to neutralize this issue in your flesh? If it's drug addiction, what do I got to do to painstakingly give my mind to overcoming these strong urges? How hard are you willing to fight? How many ways are you willing to think of different strategies? Because the problem is your flesh is up 24/7, 365. You know your mind. Your mind is open 20. It's like 7-Eleven. It's always open, bro. Like Walmart used to be. It's like all day, I'm trying to figure out how to get what I want. Am I right or wrong? No. Your mind always wants to tell you how life ain't fair. How many of us got that issue? It's nonstop. Let me count the ways how life is unfair. Then if that's how your mind is, how active are you in neutralizing those paralyzing thoughts? How consistent are you in thinking opposite of where your mind naturally wants to go? He's saying that valiant and vigorous mind is always active, whether physically or mentally, is engaged in action, pursuing business with vigor and assiduity. Let's look up assiduity real quick.
Assiduity, constant or close application to any business or enterprise.
Listen, so once again, assiduity is a person who's constantly giving their mind to how to apply doing things the right way. Listen, once again, this is the difference between the valiant-minded and the faint-hearted person. The faint-hearted person stops thinking. The faint-hearted person stops thinking and strategizing and counseling and performing action and activity to neutralize the issue. It's not about if you're weak or strong. What it's about is have you given up on ideas? Have you quit approaches and mindsets that you can keep taking? The person who's quit, the person who's faint-hearted, stop trying. Stop thinking and counseling and putting things into action to gain stability over the flesh. How many of us do that? So, let's recap again. First thing we're going to do is go into valiant again. One person gets valiant, one person gets vigorous, another person gets active, and another person gives assiduity.
I got vigorous.
Give me valiant.
Valiant, 1828 Webster's Dictionary. Point number 1. Primarily, strong, vigorous in body, as a valiant fencer.
So, primarily strong, vigorous in body. Now we go into the vigorous part.
Vigorous, full of physical strength or active force. Strong.
Also, I want to go to number 2.
Powerful, strong, made by strength, either of body or mind.
This one lets you know that the strength isn't just physical, it's also mental. Because you have to have the mind to figure out different strategies to gain mastery over the flesh. And the people who are vigorous in their spirit don't stop until they gain mastery over the flesh. And they're using whatever combination of mental and physical tools you need. The reason I say it's a combination of mental and physical, because sometimes you got to read scriptures.
Yep.
Sometimes you got to get off your ass and just go to work and follow somebody. We're right or wrong. Sometimes you got to attack the flesh. Sometimes the answer is deny your shit and have a fast. And shut up and just go to work. And some days you got to study and read the scriptures. Some days you got to counsel. But it all supposed to add up into action and activity and physical change. What we're reading is the people who get blessed come up with physical, tangible solutions to corral what's inside of them. Yes, sir.
So basically just to avoid being idle.
It's avoiding being idle, or it's avoiding withering away. Because that idleness ends up destroying you from the inside. And in order to control and to keep from withering from the inside, there has to be action and activity based behind the decision making. And I'm telling you, too many of us will sit back here and we're wallowing in self-pity. We're wallowing in sadness. Am I right or wrong? A lot of Israelis is sad and unhappy and beaten up and discouraged. And we're just using religion right now, bro. We're going to be religious as hell. We're going to Sabbath, all the Sabbath classes. We're reading verses. We're trying to be spiritual as hell, but without the activity, without the action. And this is what is necessary for us to overcome our battles. I'm just trying to explain that from Leviticus 26. He's telling us we've been cursed with a faint heart. We've been cursed with a mindset that can see problems, but we lack the motivation to actually do anything about it.
Because Israel's not realistic. Israel's idealistic. Israel wants to live in ideals and think, this would be nice. This would be nice.
Philosophical.
Israel wants to get philosophical.
And spiritual.
And spooky. Let me get spooky. Versus going ahead and let me completely address and attack this issue. Now you gotta be honest. You're not gonna be effective your first 3 attempts, but you're gonna make ground. And the goal is, how did I make ground? And then you go back to the drawing board. You go back to counsel.
Can I say, you know what ground is? The fact you don't give up,
Huh?
and you learn what doesn't work. Sometimes you gotta learn what doesn't work, so you can focus on what can work.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? It is in the fact that you continue to figure out different solutions.
But the point is, Israel has to have momentum. That process of attacking, but maybe you weren't 100% on the target. Maybe you were 5%.
Maybe your motivations were crappy.
Con.
Maybe maybe you needed sharper counsel.
Yeah.
Maybe you realized after the 3rd attempt you were a bullshitter.
Yeah.
And you really didn't try as
You had
hard.
weak hands during the attempt. I had weak hands during my attempts.
Yes.
Okay, so the Most High can make you perfect your efforts now.
Yes.
That's the Most High sharpening you,
Yeah.
perfecting you.
Because people always say, I tried and it didn't work out. Well, maybe you tried wrong.
That's okay.
Maybe you didn't do it the right
And
way.
that's okay.
So go back into it. And that's the point. The
Because
active person.
there's going to be some cowboys after this class.
What do you mean?
There's going to be some cowboys that will say, I'm
Bible
going
cowboys?
to do something.
Woo!
2
Yeah.
weeks, you have 2 weeks.
Lassos and
You're gonna
everything.
have 2 weeks of attempts. They're going to have the spirit of regression and why try. That's coming.
Yeah.
But you understand, when you go through the attempts,
You got to say that again. I'm telling you, Israel goes into this why try thing all the damn time. Am I right or wrong? We try a little bit, then why try? Forget it all. Forget it.
the drugs are everywhere I go. They're going to be there. There's always alcohol, and I like it. How about that? And I love it. It's always going to be there. So how many conversations are we going to have?
Dark liquor, man, or
dark
vodka?
only, bro. That's the only thing that matters. Only melanated alcohol.
Wait. You're talking about cognacs or about scotches?
Only dark side. Some about that just makes my skin feel good. Makes me feel great. But I know I can't go to work the next day.
Oh my God!
I
Listen,
cannot go to work.
it's real though. Listen, it was hilarious and it was perfect comedic timing. Perfect comedic timing. What he just said, but he's being honest. And half of what dealing with your battle is being honest about delicious alcohol.
It's too delicious, huh? And brothers discovering new flavors out there. Like, bro, why you tell me about this, huh? Damn. I'm about 10 times. This is a great flavor, but not for me. Where'd you get it at?
Why did you say that?
You're making it hard. So,
and there was we just had a week of
like,
freestyle.
that was the worst thing in the world. Thanks for reacclimating the spirit, huh? You reactivated the demons, huh?
Oh,
but the issue is now I've got to wean off and wean and talk and
and go to war
and talk and wean. They got to attack other battles just to get away from that battle. You gotta make some photographs. Take more pictures. Occupy your time to freeze yourself out that realm. So what's the issue? Israel has to at least make 2 baby steps. Israel doesn't want to. If it's not this major, super, enormous, triumphant victory, Israel quits.
Right.
How about the victory is you maintain momentum, or you didn't regress?
And the victory is that you didn't stop your activity.
Exactly.
That's the first thing. The victory is that you didn't regress.
Exactly.
And you kept fighting. We talk about fighting, but the fighting is how active you maintain in the battle. Do you keep meditating on different ways to gain mastery over your spirit?
Yeah.
We're faint-hearted because we stop figuring out ways. We stop getting detailed. That's what assiduity is. Who has assiduity?
It was
The brother who left, right?
Assiduity,
It's always better.
constant or close application to any business or enterprise.
So assiduity is it's the constant and closeness of the studying of what didn't work. How didn't it work? What do I have to fix next time? I always go back to sports analogies, but after you get your ass kicked in a football game or a baseball game or whatever the case, guess what you're supposed to do? You got to watch game film. No, it ain't just about watching anybody just going out there running into a brick wall. You got to watch game film. And you got to watch how you got burnt on that play. Or you had a crappy tackle.
It's the beginning right here. The
And
game
look, this is how you jacked this up. And you got to sit back here and watch game film on how you got embarrassed. And then the fight song got played after you got burnt for a 60-yard touchdown. And you got embarrassed and you're looking bad. You got to watch this film on what you didn't do right. And then once you see how you screwed up, now you got to go back and correct that. That's no different than how we fail in the spirit now.
Israel hates correction.
How much do you, but that's the problem. Israel don't want to see their highlight tape.
Exactly.
They don't want to sit back and see how their form was off.
That was yesterday.
And their technique was
that
off.
was yesterday.
Exactly.
Not talking about that situation.
I know.
Here of Israel.
Yeah,
In general.
that was yesterday. You're judging me. Well, you know what? If we don't go to the game tape, you're gonna make the same mistake next week. Why are you bringing up all this? You know what? We have to go into your old game film.
You never see the good.
It's bad game film. It's really bad game
never
film.
See the good me.
Let's go into this old bad game film so we can sit back and tighten you up in the future. True. You got to be humble though. It takes humility to sit back and dig into details so I don't make the same mistakes over down the line. But how painstaking you are in the process of analyzing yourself and seeing where you were right and where you went wrong is the only way you can come back down the line and get better at improving yourself and your patterns and how you do things. But that is the mind of a valiant, vigorous person. That's how you get blessed in the eyes of the Heavenly Father. That's how you get acknowledged. It's that simple. It's simple, but it's hard. Okay? It's simple, but I ain't acting like it's easy.
Yeah, you gotta get the swoon first. You gotta break the swoon first.
Bro, listen.
Break the swoon. Then we can get here to the science of perfection.
Listen, there was so many goddamn definitions. What was swoon again? Let's get back to swoon again.
The demon.
Swoon's a problem, man.
That's the real problem. You don't want nobody to call you a swooner.
Listen.
How dare you?
Yeah.
Disrespect me.
There's a lot of swooning in Israel.
Swoon means to faint.
Yeah.
To sink into a fainting fit.
To sink into a fainting fit. That kind of connects with Isaiah 24 when that person sits back and runs from fear and falls in a pit. Then that pit brings a snare because they can't get out of the ruts they're in. They can't get out of their sadness, their unhappiness, their failures. You know, the problem is a lot of us, we can't get over how many years we've lost and wasted. A lot of times we can't move forward because we're so consumed with how many years we've wasted messing around and not changing. That's how we swoon. Because we're so caught up in the wasted time and the failures. We never take the time to say, okay, I failed this many times, but what did I do good and what did I do bad? It takes real humility to do that. Can I sit back here and go blow for blow with all my mistakes? First of all, I advise to go to the exchanger to do this first. Because too many times we lie about our past.
Liar.
We pass on fire.
Yeah,
we lie about what got us to this situation. Allow another counselor to show you this is where you went wrong. This was good. This was bad. This is a pattern that you have in your spirit that you have to address and fix and work on. And once we learn how to identify what we need to fix and work on, then we can practice fixing these scenarios. And based on how astute and attentive you are in practicing fixing these things inside of you will determine how active you are, how vigorous and valiant, and eventually how blessed you get. Okay? Now, when we were getting into active, if I'm not mistaken, what was that definition, active, again?
Active, busy, constantly engaged in action, pursuing business with vigor and assiduity.
I'm telling you, I don't think we understand how much attention and focus it takes to gain control over our lust. Our lusts are operating all the time, and they're free flowing, and they go unchecked 3/4 of the day. They go unchallenged 3/4 of the day, and we wonder why we can't control them. How dedicated are we to attacking these thoughts and attacking this mindset? That will determine your success. Yes,
It also says in assiduity, it says zeal and constancy.
That's the point. Assiduity is how zealous and consistent you are in that active overtaking. Let's continue in active, though. It says, read it from the top of number 3.
Busy, constantly engaged in action, pursuing business with vigor and assiduity, opposed to dull, slow, or indolent.
He says, opposed to dull, slow, and indolent. Somebody give me indolent. But it says that faint person is dull. What does it mean by dull? That they're not on top of that negative like the active person is. They're slow. You know, the problem is that carnal person, that faint person, is always reactionary.
No.
You can tell that a person is overran by their negative because they're always reacting to issues versus getting on top of their issues. They're reacting to their weaknesses in their flesh. Who has that indolent?
Indolent, 1828, Webster's Dictionary. Habitually idle or indisposed to labor.
And that's where we're at. That's where the faint hands are. Faint hands, feeble knees. They're constantly, they're predisposed to what?
It says habitually idle or indisposed.
They're always idle. They're always not fighting what's inside of them. They're always given to their feelings. A person who is indolent is always feeding their feelings, and they very rarely challenge their feelings. That's another layman's way to paint the picture. The problem is we feed our emotions and feelings way too much. Read indolent again.
Indolent, habitually idle or indisposed to labor.
We're habitually mentally idle. The person that's vigorous is constantly active. It's constantly mentally and physically active. They're always thinking of ways to get on top of their situation. They're constantly thinking of ways to control their anger, to control their emotions. They're constantly meditating on how to deal with their organization problems, deal with their paperwork issues, deal with their studying problems. This is not about judging anybody for having an issue. Hell, we all got issues. Whether it's studying issues, focusing issues, organization issues, pride issues, lust issues, alcoholism. This is the damn Jews. Self-loathing, hatred, sadness. I can't, I don't want to. You hate me, nobody cares. The list goes on and on and on. But the question is, are you going to choose that faint position? That indolent position? That's what?
It says habitually idle or
habitually idle. Habitually given to just not fighting. Habitually given to not challenging that weakness in your mind. Or that active person who's constantly challenging and zealously attacking that negative in them. That's the difference between the person that doubles their talent and gets to the kingdom and the person that's fearful and hides their talent in the damn dirt that eventually doesn't make the kingdom. I'm being honest. That's the difference. How hard do you want to fight? Because everybody acts like what they're going through is the hardest shit in the world. I'm going to tell you a newsflash. Everybody's shit is hard. It's just a little different.
Yeah.
It's a different demon. It's a different spirit. But everybody's situation is difficult. So stop being the victim saying that your situation is so hard. Everybody's situation is so hard. So are you going to be motivated, and can you stay motivated to constantly attack the issue? The problem with us is we're only motivated for a short window of time. And then it fades out. What's that indolent word again?
Indolent. It says habitually idle or indisposed to labor.
Indisposed to labor. Don't worry about it. It's done. It's done. It's done.
I reject the notion that I have to be the process that fixes the problem. I want other people to make me do it. I want other people to hold my hand.
I want people to make me feel.
To fight for me.
Yes.
I gotta go all the angles.
Yeah.
I want you to fight for me. I want you to carry me. I want you to pick me up. I want you to
make me feel loved enough for me to try to fight my own battle.
I want you to sit here and,
That's the truth.
and be in the stew with you. I want to be in the stew with you and be sad with you until you want to not be sad anymore. We've went through all these little angles, all these little parts this world goes into, and then somebody has to agitate you and be an asshole and piss you off. They got to be the pisser offer person. There's always
Good cop, bad cop,
There's
right?
always a person in the camp that's dedicated to pissing you off. That's their job, to get you out your shit. So hopefully you can fight your spirit. But at the end of the day, you have to study for you. You have to fight for you. You have to want your salvation. You have to do it for the people that are connected to you. It has to be your quest. It has to be your fight. It has to be your will. The teachers and the counselors cannot fight for you. I learned that a long time ago. The counselor, listen, bro, we can only show you the door. You must walk through the door.
Yep.
But Israel expects, because we're holy people and we're Bible people, to push them through the door. The Most High won't honor it.
That's why you read 2nd Ezra 7. It says one man can cross this path at a time.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I was going to say, no definition for indolent inside the Merriam-Webster was lazy.
Oh, no doubt. It's lazy, it's inactive, it's free from pain.
Yeah.
Because the indolent person doesn't want to be uncomfortable. Because that's what it takes to change. What it takes to change is you have strong emotions that want to take you this way. And you have 1,000 reasons to go this direction. And you got to go that direction. And you got to fight every day. Yes, in a second. You have to fight every day to go opposite of the current that's taking you the opposite way. Has any of y'all been in a boat or like swam against the current, against stream?
Mm-hmm. Yes, man.
That shit's scary, first of all. That's scary as hell, bro. When that current was take you out into that damn ocean, and you look up, you were like this. You were like you could touch the sand like 5 minutes ago. Now the people look small.
Yeah.
You're like, oh snap! I might be lost at sea in like 2 minutes. I better do something. I don't know if y'all felt that, but that's a real feeling.
Yeah.
And you have to work doubly hard to counteract this current that wants to push you a certain direction. The question is this: how hard do you really want to work to fight your battle? Because you got to sit back here and dedicate yourself to going against the current of your emotions. Yes, sir.
You can't do it frantically either.
No.
When you're in that moment, when you're getting pulled, when you're underwater, if you panic, you're dead.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you literally have to.
You have to swim. You have to think and swim under the current.
Mm-hmm.
You have to go under the current and then go back in. Because if you can sit back and fight all damn day long at the same level the current's going, you're not going to make it back either. You have to go under current and then swim back if you have any hope of surviving. You better hope one of them lifeguards saw you. If not, you can't even hear your voice so a certain distance out there.
Yeah.
You be out there with the damn boats. You're in trouble, bro. What am I trying to say? That indolent person is lazy, but the laziness is we all are indolent in some form of fashion. Because we get tired of fighting our thoughts. Am I right or wrong? We'll fight for a little bit, then we'll give in. That is an indolent person. We think of a lazy person as some guy that's just sitting out here eating Doritos all them day long, not getting anything done. No, we're the indolent people that try a little bit, but don't try long enough to gain any control over their thoughts. You know how many times over 10, 20 years I've heard, oh yeah, my thoughts. I got so many thoughts. I just think so much. Like, that's some honorable shit. I just think so. I think so much. Oh yeah, that means you can't control your thoughts.
Yeah.
That means you're a baby. That's not something that's super. I'm just a thinker. I am a thinker. Like, what? Okay, cool. Then can you control your thinker? The thinker? Can you control it, man? Or I'm just a thinker. Like, what does that even mean? When people say that, like it's a badge of honor. When in reality, you just can't control your emotions. And you're indolent because you don't fight long enough to control your emotions. And the funny thing is this. The scary thing is this. In certain arenas, we're active. In other arenas, we are indolent. How about that? For some of us in an arena of patience, we're indolent people. In some people, when it comes to looking at things in a pure outlook, we're indolent. Seeing the good in people, we're indolent. We're lazy. We don't fight the waves of emotions and thoughts that dominate us to have us look at things crazy. All I'm trying to say, all of us are on the hook for being busy, constantly engaged in action, pursuing business with vigor. We're all on the hook for that. And we're all on the hook to being opposed to being dull, slow, and indolent. Slow doesn't mean non-intelligent. Slow means just not willing to put up a long enough fight to see good results. Yeah. Most of us fail because we don't fight long enough. Not that we don't fight our thoughts long enough. Scripture says, resist the devil, and he shall what? If he ain't fleed, you ain't fought long enough. Listen, think about Jacob. What made Jacob get his name changed to Israel? He fought until he said, I'm just going to die here. Forget this shit, man. My hips busted. I'm hurting bad, but I'm not letting you go. You're going to have to kill me today. But you know what? That is what you need to be active enough to gain control over these demonic ass thoughts you got. That's a principle. I'm not going to sit back here and stop these thoughts. I'm going to keep going opposite of these thoughts. Or I'm going to die trying. You know, niggas can sit back and say, get rich or die trying, right?
In the flesh. Yeah.
In the flesh. But in the spirit, we can't sit back here, stay spiritual or die trying. Well, that don't make no sense. That ain't the spirit. But that's what you got to be done. Can we stay spiritual or die trying? Nah. No thanks. Like, no thanks.
No, that's not what I want to
That's not what I want to hear. I want to hear that I can hear one class and everything's going to be okay.
Magic scripture.
It's not going to be that way, bro. It's going to be more like Lord of the Rings. The last one. When Smeagol is going to war with whatever the hell his name is. It was Smeagol versus who? Well, it was the Gollum dude. You know what I'm talking about.
I didn't watch
You never saw that? You guys are maniacs. That was a great movie. Well, no, he used to be a hobbit, and he went left and became this like Smeagol beast animal. The point is this. I'm going to say this. It was Return of the King, and y'all got to watch it. Because if y'all watch it, and you watch Return of the King, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Listen, the dude is wrestling behind being good and evil at. He's like, Master, he was good to us. He was good to us. He's like, nah, you got to kill him. You got to kill him now, for precious sake. He's like, no, but he was good. I want to be good. I want to be good. Nah, B. Yeah, you can't be good. You got to do this dirt, G. He's like, but, do this dirt. He's like, but he was good. Okay. I will do dirt. It was the truth. That's what you got to watch it just for that. You know why I say that? Because this is the human condition. This is why I give a shit. When I start hearing people say, why try? I'm like, bro, Smeagol won. That bad guy won already. He's already got you doubling down on being negative. And the crazy thing is, the only thing that shakes you up halfway to even start your battle over again is falling rock bottom. When you fall rock bottom, then you're open to trying again. But then when you're open to try again, you better be retaught how to fight your mind the right way to have a chance to gain mastery over it. This is why you need scriptures. You need to be around good counselors. Family is going to push you the right way. It's the combination of things that ends up turning into activity. How many times you sit back here, you want to sit back and be in your room and be sad? Guess what you got to do? Get up off your ass and go. How many times you don't want to read the Bible? Get up on your butt and read the Bible.
Just because.
Because you got to break what's inside of you. Well, I don't want to communicate and share what's going on in my life. Then share. I'm just trying to bullet point everybody's situation in their way. Are you going to be active and fight? Or are you going to sit back here and quit and be indolent and be lazy? Mentally and spiritually lazy. This is the battle we all have to face. I'm glad somebody out there online watched it. Thank you, sis. Well, the other guy sitting back here talking crazy. That's a real thing. That scene was real. Anyway. Everybody's like, I guess, brother. I guess. Old man. Okay, old man. Get out of here. Anyway, where are we at? We did acidity. We did assiduity. We did indolent. Now, let's go back to 2 Samuel 17. I want to sit back, 17 and 10 and then verse 8. I want to sit back and really explain that because those definitions really explained what we need to operate in versus what we've become as these faint-hearted individuals. People that don't put up a long enough fight to see the results we want. A faint-hearted person is just used to excessive quitting, giving up, not trying long enough.
It says indulgence in ease. Indulging in ease.
Yeah, but that's what indolent is, right? Indulging in ease is I'm comfortable with letting my thoughts take over. My mind takes over. My emotions and feelings take over. And when your emotions and feelings take over, you're done. You are done. What makes David and his men so great, read verse 8. We read about their valiance and their mighty men of war. Read verse 8.
God. 2 Samuel chapter 17, verse 8. For, said Hushai, thou knowest thy father and his men, that they be mighty men, and they be chafed in their mind.
Chafed in the mind. What made David's men, they were obviously valiant. They were obviously vigorous and all those words, active, but they were also chafed because they were so used to going against their feelings and their emotions. They were used to the irritation that comes from it. The reason that we become indolent is we don't like being uncomfortable. The problem with our flesh, we want to be comfortable. We're craving ease. We're craving a break versus embracing constant activity, constant chafing, constant discomfort because of what it takes to break strong thoughts. Because I'm not talking about, there's certain spirits we face that are easily manageable. You can control with some reading and some scriptures. But there's also some lifelong demons that require more than that. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. There's certain controllable things that a little bit of studying and reading can wipe off. And then there's other things that you need to be in constant war with yourself to counteract your nature. A lot of us are predisposed to think in a sick way. And if we're predisposed to think in a sick way, that means we have to be chafed in the mind in those specific arenas if you want to gain mastery over those specific issues that keep plaguing you. Some of us, once again, have a suspicious nature to us. Some of us have an anger to us, have a wrath to us. Some people have an apathetic mind to us. Some people have a very fearful mind. Some people have a pessimistic mind. Whatever it is, we have to be prepared on a daily, nightly, hourly basis to be chafed and uncomfortable to go against it if you want to sustain in the spirit. It's just that simple. And this is what made David's men so potent. They were comfortable with being uncomfortable. They were comfortable with that constant denying of yourself, because that is uncomfortable. It is. But the only answer is when your mind keeps telling you that I want to do something, you got to keep doing what? You got to keep denying it. And you got to keep giving new and creative spiritual reasons why you should deny it. And then along with all those spiritual reasons why you should deny it, then you got to go add on to that Proverbs 16:3. Somebody give me that.
Proverbs chapter 16, verse 3. Ready?
Yep.
Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established.
Sometimes we be so much in our head, we don't do no works behind it. Sometimes you gotta do spiritual works to help shake off all these negative thoughts rolling through your head too. If it's just mental thoughts, if it's just thoughts and thoughts and thoughts, you're gonna get destroyed anyway.
What do you mean spiritual works?
What
do you mean spiritual works?
For instance, there's a certain time to study. There's a certain time to counteract negative thoughts. And there's other times you just gotta go get around the brothers and deal with the men. I gotta deal with the sisters. I'm in my head going all through these circles of negative thoughts and negative outlets. I got to get out of my head and get to work. Let me be of service to somebody. Let me be of service to the work versus me sitting back here and stewing in my thoughts all damn day long. This is why brothers tell their ribs, get around the sisters. Because all you is looking at me about how bad I am. Get around sisters and help. Help them. So you see how it's different elements of trying to be active. Yes, you got to attack your thoughts. But part of attacking your thoughts is doing what? Read that again. Commit your works to the Lord.
Proverbs 16:3. Commit thy works unto the Lord, and thy thoughts shall be established.
A lot of times, when thoughts are rolling on you, you got to sit back here and be around good people, do good works to help neutralize negative dirtbag thoughts. So then when you do get home, you got to go back into being uncomfortable and attacking your thoughts there. But it's the combination that keeps you on top. Does that make sense? I'm not sitting back here and acting like this is easy by any stretch of the imagination. But we have to explain these things so we at least have the tools we need to fight our battles. And then what I'm thinking about is Matthew 7, verse 7 through 11. Because this is an aspect of what, when we read about in Matthew 7, is an aspect of what it takes to get blessed. Okay? Matthew 7, verse 7 through 11.
Come. Matthew chapter 7 and verse 7 reads, ask, and it shall be given you. Seek, and ye shall find.
So the question is this. How well are we seeking? How hard are we seeking to get what we're asking for? Christ says, ask, seek, and knock. But a lot of times we say this, and Christ, like if you ask, seek, and knock, you'll get the reward I'm giving you. But how well are we seeking? Now that we sit back here and understand how active you have to be in attacking your thoughts, and we're seeing it from David and his mighty men, and then we're seeing that faint-hearted nature that we have. Now we sit back and read Matthew 7 and 7 and ask ourselves, are we really seeking to the extent that Christ wants us to seek to get the blessings we want? Because first of all, what are we supposed to be asking for anyway? In Matthew 7, what are we asking for?
Strength to overcome all
Spiritual attributes, right? We're supposed to be asking for fruits of the Spirit. Not carnal, not the flesh. We're supposed to be asking for fruits of the Spirit. Let me learn how to have more faith, more patience, more long suffering, more humility, more love, more discipline. But if I'm asking for those things, how well am I seeking to get that understanding? How hard am I fighting? How hard am I going against my nature for the Most High to see me before He gives me the blessing? We just went into what Jacob had to do to get the blessing from the angel. He has to make a wrestle with an angel all night and get the inside of his hip popped out before he sat back here and won the victory. How hard are we working to gain the victory? Honestly. We say we're trying, but how hard are we really trying to see real results in our life? Once again, I'm just trying to help us see how hard we have to work to get what we want. And it's not as easy as we think. And whatever we're trying, however we're trying to sit back here and be active in our mind and our spirit, we need to do more. If you want to see that ability to control and stay on top of yourself to be better, and to be more longer lasting. Okay. Read on in Matthew 7.
Come, ask, and it shall be given you.
Mm-hmm.
Seek, and ye shall find.
Yep.
Knock, and it shall be open unto you. For everyone that asketh receiveth, and he that seeketh findeth, and to him that knocketh it shall be open.
But it doesn't tell you how long to knock and how long to seek. So if you've been seeking and you haven't found the answers yet, it's because you haven't worked hard enough to get it. It's on you to fight more. Yes, you're supposed to get counsel and get clarity, but you're not fighting your thoughts long enough to start to see the benefit of the sacrifice. You're not knocking long enough to see the end of the tunnel, to see the good that comes from it. We got to work harder, and we got to be more committed to attacking the thoughts that ride us if we want the victory, if we want to double our talent to ensure our entry into the kingdom. Read on.
Or what man is there of you, whom, if his son asks bread, will he give him a stone?
The Most High is like, listen, if your son asks for bread, I'm going to give you bread. But once again, you got to earn that bread. That's how the Most High in Christ operates. He's going to bless us, but you got to earn the blessing. Just like Jacob had to earn the blessing. Read on.
Or if he asks a fish, will he give him a serpent?
Of course not. Read on.
If ye then, being evil, know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your Father, which is in heaven, give good things to them that ask him?
If you ask in faith, and if you ask in diligence, yes. The answer is yes. But you got to put the work in to get the gifts and to get the blessings answered and given to you. Let all that go. Go to Isaiah 40 and verse 29. Let me get there. I'm sorry. Isaiah 40, verse 29. Read that.
Isaiah chapter 40, verse 29. He giveth power to the faint.
The Most High gives power to the faint. Just because there's a party that doesn't want to fight doesn't mean there's not power there. And it doesn't mean that the Most High is not going to be there for you. This is something you got to understand also. Just because you feel like quitting doesn't mean the Most High is not there to help you get through your battle. Read on.
And to them that have no might, he increaseth strength.
The Most High gives you the strength you need if you want it. If you really want it, He will give you what you need to overcome what's inside of you in your life. Hold this and go to Lamentations 3. Lamentations 3, verse 22 and 23. Or 21 to 23.
You said what chapter?
Lamentations 3, verse 21 through 23.
Lamentations chapter 3 and verse 20 says,
21, sir.
21. This I recall to my mind, Therefore have I hope.
He says these are the things that Jeremiah remembers so that he can remain hopeful in his battle. Because as much as I'm talking about fighting battles and being strong, we know damn well those thoughts be rolling hard. And that negative be leaning on us. Okay? Read on.
It is of the Most High's mercies that we are not consumed.
The Most High constantly gives us mercies. And that's why we're not destroyed. Read on.
Because his compassions fail not.
The Most High's compassions never end. But on top of that, read verse 22. No, 23.
Verse 23. They are new every morning.
What is new every morning? His mercies. His mercies are new every morning. So every day we tell ourselves we can't do it. The Most High's mercy is there every day to help us get through our battle. This is not about being 100% and gaining the victory every day. This is about fighting the best you can with what you got that day and trusting that the Most High will have mercy on your fight. That's a very important statement I'm saying. Because it's not like every day we're going to be at 100% and operate potent at 100%. But like Jeremiah said, you got to recall this to mind so you have hope. The Most High's mercy, he says they're new every morning. Every morning, there's a new set of mercy waiting for you. If you still choose to fight. But people use these kind of verses to justify their lust and to justify not fighting. The mercy is there if you fight with all you got that day. Can we give the Most High everything we can? Can we fight to the best of our ability? Can we fight our thoughts to the best of our capacity every day? Even though some days we might be stronger than other days? And can we trust that if we fight to the best of our ability, he will have a new set of mercy and line up for you every day so you can get through your battle? Now go back to that verse we read in Isaiah 40.
Isaiah chapter 40, verse 29. He giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might, he increases strength.
He's telling us he will give us strength if we fight. Listen, Paul even said, I am made perfect through my what? My weakness. When I'm at my weakest point and I keep fighting, that's when the Most High comes through for us. Jacob fought the hardest when he had no more strength to fight. What did Jacob do at the end? He just held on to the angel. At that point, it wasn't about wrestling and force on force. He's like, I'm going to hold your leg. I can't move no more. But I'm going to hold your leg and I'm not going to let go. And for that is why he got blessed. Not that he was able to stand toe-to-toe with this angel and go blow for blow with him. It wasn't about going blow for blow with an angel. It was about, did you not give up? Did he not give up? The question is, are you going to give up? Or are you going to fight? That's what we're being judged on. And his mercy comes to us when we don't give up. And we keep trying to fight day to day, minute to minute, hour to hour. That's how he acknowledges us, and that's how he blesses us. And the constant activity, the constant trying to figure out greater ways to maintain your spirit, greater ways to break what's inside of you, that's what the Most High respects. Just don't give up and be faint-hearted and say, I can't do it. He hates that. He hates that spirit. I can't. It's too hard. We just read in Matthew 25 that I can't do it spirit. That person got sent to hell because I can't do it. It's too hard. What you gave me, I just hit under a damn rock because it was too hard to fight my battle. Don't be that guy. Don't be that girl. Have enough fight in you to try even though your head might not be clear. Can you still be humble when you feel weak? Can you still counsel when you feel weak? Can you still try to attack your thoughts when you feel weak? That's what he's looking at. That's what he's judging. Go to Isaiah 35 and 3.
Isaiah 35, verse 3.
Type this in. 35, 3 and 4. Let me see.
Isaiah chapter 35, verse 3. Strengthen ye the weak hands, and confirm the feeble knees.
To confirm means what? Confirm means to add strength and firmness to weak knees. This is what we do for each other, and this is what you're supposed to do for your own mind. Strengthen the weak hands and confirm the weak knees. It's not about being perfect. It's not about being absolutely the strongest guy in the world. But can you fight? And can you sit back, and when you're wobbly, can you find scriptures and get counsel to get you stable enough to keep fighting? All that matters is you keep fighting your thoughts. That's all that matters. Read on.
It says, say to them that are of a fearful heart, be strong, fear not. Behold, your power will come with vengeance, even the Most High with a recompense. He will come and save you.
The point goes to this. It's not about if you've had some negative thoughts, but are you counteracting the negative thoughts? Are you trying to fight the negative thoughts? Are you just giving in? We can understand if we're in a fist fight and a nigga just punch you in the mouth and your eyes swollen. And you got a choice. Am I going to keep swinging or am I just going to curl up in a ball? You get that, right? But can you do that in the spirit? Can you understand that thoughts roll hard, feelings roll hard, emotions roll hard, and can you fight enough not to give in to those feelings and emotions, to stay the course, to stay in order, to just not let my emotions justify sin? Can I not let my emotions justify my sin? Can I weather these emotions and still fight to stay strong? Can I strengthen my hands and my feeble knees? Is there enough examples in my mind and my life to justify being stronger? Let this or hold this and go to James 1 and 25.
James chapter 1 and verse 25. But whoso looketh into the perfect law of liberty and continueth therein, he being not a forgetful hearer.
Listen, you can't be a forgetful hearer. Meaning, too many times we forget how the Most High came through for us. How when we fought our battle, the good that came from fighting our battle. We forget our victories. We forget the lessons way too early. We remember all the mistakes and we forget the times that we overcame. You have to remember all the times you overcame with society. You fought with society. You can't forget that. Read on.
God, he being not a forgetful hearer, but a doer of the work.
Listen, you can only be a proper and consistent doer if you don't forget what you did to get blessed in the first place. Read on.
This man shall be blessed in his deed.
Because you're a doer, and you also don't forget all the good works you did to stay strong. Okay, let me see. Psalms 27 and 13.
Psalms chapter 27 and verse 13. I had fainted unless I had believed to see the goodness of the Most High in the land of the living.
He's telling you, all of us are susceptible to fainting and getting weak and quitting unless we remember all the good the Most High has done for me in my life. There's got to be something to keep you from quitting. There's got to be something to keep you from giving into your thoughts. Can you remember the constant mercies and the constant good the Most High has done to you in your life? You got to tap into some type of strength to keep you fighting. Read on.
It says, wait on the Most High. Be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart. Wait, I say, on the Most High.
So what is he saying? Fight your thoughts and fight your emotions long enough for the Most High to come through for you. You have to wait. You have to wait in your fight. Wait in the attacking and combating of your thoughts so the Most High can come through and bless you.
Maintain the pursuit.
That's the thing.
No, this
Maintain the
pursuit.
counteracting of those negative thoughts long enough for the Most High to come through and so you can see him come through for you.
Don't quit your pursuit.
We don't
in righteousness.
We don't fight our thoughts long enough to see the good come. And that's the honest to goodness truth. We quit and then we get angry at the Heavenly Father that he didn't come through for us. Which in reality, you just didn't fight long enough to see him come through. And your point of reference has to be Jacob fighting the angel. He fought him all night. And then when the sun came back up, that's when the fight was over. Can you imagine fighting all night with a jacked up hip? Think about that and how resilient you have to be before you see the results you're looking for. So when you're fighting your battle, how resilient do you have to be? How long do you have to fight before you see the results you're looking for? Yes, sir.
Usually, like a round of fighting is usually like 3 to 5 minutes.
I know.
You're exhausted.
I know. And this is all night, bro. And your hip is out. Yes, sir.
He could have said, due to my hip being out,
I forfeit. Yeah, my conditions are unfair. He says, no, I am not going to leave until you bless me. I'm not giving up. You have to kill me. But this is the fight. The purpose of that entire scenario is he became a prince of power after. He was his regular old Jacob the supplanter. When he fought that angel and he obtained the victory, he didn't obtain the victory because he was better or stronger or more skilled. He obtained the victory because he didn't quit. He fought to the end, to the best of his ability. Are we fighting our thoughts to the end, to the best of our ability? If we do, we will keep getting blessed and we will start seeing the Most High come through for us so much more. With that, we're going to let class go. All right? Glad we're back on it. No more stopping. Can't stop, won't stop. See y'all on Wednesday, all right? Shalom, Israel. Throughout it.